Being wealthy is a game, and in order to win, you must understand the rules. In fact, the better you understand and apply the rules in your favor, the faster you will become absurdly wealthy. To do that, it's important to understand the 7 money rules to become rich. Let's start with a story from a man named Jeff and how he came to learn the 7 rules of money and how he was able to use these rules to quit his 9-to-5 job and fulfill his dream of being a world traveler. Before Jeff achieved his dream, he was actually just a 38-year-old data entry clerk at a mid-sized IT company and was constantly dreading having to go into work. Sadly, Jeff wasn't the best with his money, so being able to retire at any age seemed like a stretch. One day, he was introduced to a new colleague named Steve, who was hired on as a consultant computer engineer for the company. Unlike Jeff, Steve was 50 years old, white-haired, and seemed to always be walking around with a smile. Jeff was confused on how he could look so happy, so he asked him why he was constantly smiling. We later find out that Steve had retired at age 40, took a few years to travel, then completed his degree in computer science. He told Jeff that he too hated doing his job at first and was able to change it through the 7 money rules he learned to become rich. Number 1. Pay yourself first. The first thing Steve has mentioned was although many people intend to save, others didn't really put an effort into it. In fact, 1 in 6 people indicated that they didn't have time to put up a saving strategy in a 2017 survey. Even if you have the best of intentions, unexpected expenses come, and you will never know how much you can spend unless you know how much you want to save, according to Steve. The first trick that he learned was called the 20-30-50 method. The 20-30-50 approach works as follows. Each month, you divide your money as follows. 50% goes to living expenditures such as rent, utilities, and groceries. The remaining 30% is spent on entertainment, such as going out to dine or seeing a movie. The remaining 20% should go straight into your savings account. The second tactic that he discovered was to set up automated deductions. Automated deductions work in the way that every 2 weeks after your paycheck is delivered, a part of that paycheck is sent directly into a savings account instead of the full amount going right back into a checking account. Number 2. Saving will never make you rich. While saving may be a big proponent, saving money isn't actually enough to become rich. The problem with saving money is that it doesn't grow. The typical savings account only pays 0.09% interest. That means that even if you have $100,000 in your savings account, you would only get back a $90 return in 1 year's time. And after you net that return against inflation of 2%, you would actually have lost money. It's important to stress out the importance of investing. When it came to Steve, he was lucky enough that he started learning how powerful compound interest is at an early age. He started investing $250 a week, and during that 22-year span, he had received an average of 10%, which at age 40 left him with over $1 million, of which $750,000 was compound interest that he had earned. In fact, it is the same lump sum of money that Steve continues to live off of many years later, but this is only possible because of his wise spending ways. Number 3. You must live below your means. This rule may seem so obvious, but still, millions of people continue to have a hard time following this. You see, we currently live in a very materialistic world where many people are more worried about getting the new iPhone rather than saving for retirement. And these types of short-sighted financial decisions often lead to spending more compared to what they earn. The truth is that if you want to be financially independent, you must spend less than you make and save the difference. By putting this money aside, you gain access to a plethora of benefits that come with having money in the bank. To begin with, having a lump sum of money saved aside might offer you the assurance that you will be able to weather any financial storm. Furthermore, you can use that money to start a business that, if profitable, might quadruple or triple your income. Better, if you invest correctly and save enough money, you can give your 2-week notice at work and retire early like Steve. Number 4. You must have emergency funds. One of the least exciting but more important aspects of financial health is to always have an emergency fund set up. If you don't have a cash emergency fund set up, then it's important to establish it as a top priority. It might seem contradictory after saying that leaving money in a savings account wasn't the best way to grow your money. It is still important to set aside money for emergencies. Stressing the importance of emergency funds. Let's say someone in your family got sick and had to be hospitalized for a long time. Because you might not know when you might recover, you end up taking money from your paycheck every week. Having an emergency fund is critical in this time of need. Therefore, we urge you to put a year's worth of living expenses aside in case you have your own personal emergency to attend to. Number 5. Use debt wisely. Another one thing that Steve explained was to avoid bankers and credit card lenders. While some purchases, like buying a home or paying for a college education, may be difficult to make into debt, but unlike other debts, student loans and mortgage debts can be considered as good debt. Because buying a home and getting an education can ultimately increase your net worth. Other assets instead don't go up in value. So if you're borrowing to buy them, you take a double hit, interest plus depreciation. For example, buying fancy cars is one of the worst depreciating assets you can go into debt for, as it loses value very quickly and interest can be very costly. When buying any depreciating asset, including a vehicle, make it your goal to pay cash, and if you can't afford to buy it in cash, then either wait until you can or buy a cheaper car. Number 6. The more you learn, the more you earn. A lot of people probably don't have a mantra that goes like this. The more you learn, the more you earn. What does that basically mean? This means actively working on expanding your knowledge every single day. There's a lot of people out there that have become huge fans of Bill Gates during the early years of Microsoft, and even come to learn some of his routines, morals, and values. One of them was taking the time to read. Warren Buffett even reads numerous hours a day. At an early age, reading is important and oftentimes needed to be a part of our daily routine, as it allows people to learn new ideas, concepts, and open our minds to new possibilities. Nonfiction books on social skills, business development, economics, and other self-development are encouraged and recommended. Number 7. Money won't make you happy. The last lesson is understanding that money can only buy happiness when it's spent correctly. Many people often think that buying all the stuff that they want will make them happy. At some point, maybe. But in the long run, you start to realize that the latest iPhone or outfit doesn't really sustain our happiness. More often than not, the novelty of the new item you purchased wears off in a day or two, and you are right back where you started, chasing off a new item. This cycle continues on for the rest of your lives, unless you start to realize it by now. This cycle is what keeps the majority of people broke, and getting caught in this behavior doesn't bring true happiness to their life. Instead of doing that, try spending money on things that actually can create memories that you can cherish for a long time. Traveling or even donating to charity are one of the many things that you can do. While you might not be able to do these smart money moves by the start, it's important to start actively trying to do them. We hope you learned something just like Jeff did from Steve. That's all for today, guys. See you next time.